Hello and welcome. Welcome to the Spark Starter podcast, dedicated to sharing stories that ignite female entrepreneurs into action. I'm your host, Elizabeth Goede, and I'm here to fan the flame of your entrepreneurial spirit. Each week, we bring you the inspiring stories of women trailblazers from around the world who have sparked change in their industries, powered their ideas into thriving businesses, and pioneered their ways into success. So, whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a startup enthusiast, or a seasoned business leader, join us as we delve into the journeys of these incredible women whose tales will surely ignite a spark in each one of us. My guest today is Chitra Rochlani. Chitra is a wellness coach, speaker, and best-selling author of The Warrior Mindset: 7 Mindset Shifts to Unleash Your Inner Warrior. She's on a mission to help her clients eliminate stress and loneliness, feel more aligned, and live a life of fulfillment and passion. As a medium and intuitive healer, she educates and empowers her clients to tap into their most underutilized superpower, their intuition, and to navigate their lives and make win times 3 decisions. She uses her P.F.H, which is Peel, Feel, Heal framework to inspire transformative, thorough speaking opportunities, or through speaking opportunities, interactive workshops, one-on-one readings, and her monthly membership program, the Warrior Mindset Collective. Welcome, Chitra. So great to have you here with us today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. What a joy to be here. Thank you.
Well, so I want to figure out, you had said in your unique information that you had provided that, you live in New Jersey now. However, you were actually born in India. So tell me more about that in sort of, the path that you took to actually get here to the United States, because it wasn't directly from India.
No, absolutely. So, I was born in India. I think I was 2 years old when my dad decided to move to Dubai for, better opportunities, better financial, job opportunities, things like that. So to me, really home was Dubai because that's where I grew up. And, when I moved here from Dubai 25 years ago, everybody was like, where's that? Is that in the Middle East? And now it's like, you know how it is. Now everybody's heard of Dubai. Everybody's like, oh my God, you were from Dubai. Like, what an amazing place. But, it wasn't anything like that when I was growing up. It was a small town where everybody knew everybody. So I grew up in Dubai, and I think the best part of that was having the best of both worlds almost. It was like the Eastern and the Western. So I grew up in an English speaking school, and I watched all the, cartoons and movies that you guys are watching here. And I also had, the Indian culture kind of, because a lot of like 75% of the population there is expats. So either they're from UK or US or India, So I got the best of both worlds. And then I came here 25 years ago. With my husband.
Fantastic. So tell me, with your business, what was the path that you took to get to having your own business? Did you have a different career first? Tell us a little bit about your path to get to having your business now.
Yeah, great question. I'm trying to think of the shortest way to answer it because it's a whole story. But anyway, when I was growing up in Dubai, there weren't that many colleges. So I had to go back to India to get my undergrad degree. And, I came back from there, back to Dubai, and my degree was in textile design, which really, I don't even know what I was thinking. Yeah, because it was one of those things like, I didn't know what I wasn't sure about what I wanted to do. So I was kind of dabbling into different things. I knew I enjoyed the creative field. And so that seemed appealing at the time for whatever reason. And I did it. And then I came back to Dubai and they're like, there's no jobs in that here. And so I'm like, oh, okay. And then my friend was like, well, Citibank's hiring. You want to get a job there, like, until you figure out what you're doing. And so I ended up getting into banking, and my job was approving credit cards. And it was a whole day's job because you had to call employers to make sure people were actually working where they said. You had to call like rental agencies to find out if they lived where they said they were living in the application. So there was a whole day's job trying to get them an approval of a credit card. So when I came here, I was like, oh, I'll just do the same thing. And they're like, oh, first of all, you're on something called a spouse visa, which means you can't work until you get your work permit, which might take 2 to 3 years. And I was like, what? But I've been working 8 hours a day. Like, what am I going to do with myself? And it was just, it was a whole journey, right, of figuring out an alternative. And then I found out that my entire job gets done with one click of a button because they have a whole credit bureau here. And I was like, oh, damn, like now what do I do? And so as I was trying to rediscover myself, I think looking back now, I can see that I was a serial entrepreneur. But I had to find my way out. And so the day I got my work permit, it was, I think, 2.5 years into it. So I literally opened up the classifieds. I looked at the first job I could get that didn't require experience. And it was Life Touch Studios, taking pictures of kids in schools. And so I did that because I was like, I need to get out of the house or I'm going to kill myself or kill somebody else. It was so depressing, And so I started to do that. And I did that, I think, for a good 2 or 3 years. And then I started to find my way back into banking. And I actually started again from being a teller and worked my way up to being the bank manager. And then I had kids. And of course, all that dynamic of, paying the babysitter all your salary or staying home and being with the kids. So I chose to be with the kids for a little while. And then, the photography thing kept coming up. And my husband was like, why don't you do this full time? And he bought me all this equipment. And he was like, start your own photography business. Because I was doing it all the time for friends, and volunteering in other places. And so that was actually my first business. I was a photographer. And then I got into wellness and fitness coaching and all of that. And now I'm doing more.
So do you still do anything with photography now?
No. I can't keep up. I mean, I'd have to clone myself, Elizabeth. Yeah.
Fair enough.
My son has taken all my equipment and he told me he just got paid for his first gig at college. So, hey, it didn't all go to waste.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. So it's sort of full circle there with the photography side of things. Yeah. I love it. Okay, so then let's talk about, so then you go from photography and, working in schools or in conjunction with the fact that you can't leave this sort of like financial and banking and, that side of that world. So tell me about the transition into your business now.
So then, I thought that was it. I thought photography was my passion and I'm going to love it and do it for the rest of my life. And then my weight is something that I've always struggled with all my life. And so I have done all kinds of diets and all kinds of programs to lose weight. And I've probably done it like 8 to 10 times in my life where I've lost drastic amounts of weight. And I've done it the unhealthy way. But then in 2014, I lost 80 pounds. And that was through clean eating and working on the mindset and, understanding what goes on behind the scenes. And even with workouts, really paying attention to my form and every move that I made produced results. And so that was a new way of doing things for me. And I was so empowered in that journey, by my coaches that I was like, we need to talk about this more. And nobody's talking about the mindset behind, losing weight or, getting healthy or any of that. And so, as I got so passionately involved with that, I kind of naturally transitioned into wanting to help others do the same. And slowly but surely, the photography started to kind of wind down and this started to pick up and I got my certifications. I started working at the gym where I lost the weight and it just took off. I just felt so strongly about sharing what I had learned that was a natural transition. And, I really just, at that time, I almost wanted to be a life coach and just get into the mindset piece of it because I was like, this is the part that we all need to talk about. And so mindset, has always kind of come up in even with photography. It was like, making people feel like they are worthy of being in a picture, was always something that I had to, work on with my clients. And, I had so many headshots that I did that people were like, I don't know, like, I'm not photogenic. I'm like, let's work on it, and then just helping them see themselves through my lens rather than their own lens, right? So I guess mindset kind of was on the back theme of everything that I was doing. And then as I, COVID hit, I ended up taking my fitness business online. I had to pivot, and that word that we don't like to use now, but I honestly don't have a problem with it. But I think that it was, really great for me to see that I could run a business on my own successfully in a pandemic. Because when COVID hit, I was like, what am I going to do? Because I couldn't go to the gym. I couldn't work out with people. So I started to take it online and offer like free workshops and classes and educate people on clean eating and curbing cravings and avoiding sugar and all that good stuff. And it just started to build, and it was doing really great. And then on the parallel to that journey was also this journey of me kind of becoming more and more connected to my truth and my authenticity. And I've been a medium for 20 plus years now, and it's just something that I used with people that I met that I felt really needed it, or my close family and friends knew about it. And so as I was on this journey of peeling the layers of my own kind of, conditioning, I started to attract people in my life who were like really just kind of empowering me to share my truth and my journey about being a medium. And so as I started to share that, I started, talking to people who were like tarot card readers and astrologers and other mediums. And everyone would tell me the same thing, like, you're not going to last in this fitness thing. You got to take this mediumship to the next level. And I'm like, well, I don't really talk about it much. I don't know how I'm going to make a business out of it, but I think when you're on the journey to your truth, life has a way of just bringing people into your life that will push you where you need to go. Or just turn your mindset around so you keep navigating that path. And so now my fitness and wellness business has kind of taken a little bit of a back seat, and I am actively doing workshops on mindset, intuition. The book happened last year, and so all of that is taking me to the next level of being a speaker and sharing my passion about all of these things that are happening at an energetic level in our lives that we're not paying attention to. And I like to break it down so it becomes understandable for even the lay person who's never experienced this, or even if you have experienced it, then it's relatable, right? But I want to make it accessible to everyone, that we all have access to our intuition. And so let's just go within and search for those answers rather than seeking that validation on the outside, because I think that's what's adding to all of the stress and loneliness in our lives right now. So
yeah. Absolutely. And the name of your book is
the warrior
mindset. The warrior mindset. Exactly. 7 mindset shifts to unleash your excellent. Unleash your inner warrior. And so tell us about how what inspired you to write the book. What are I think it became best-selling. So tell us a little bit more about your book.
Yeah, I actually just got a call from a publicist yesterday telling me that it's doing really well on Amazon even now. So I was like, oh, I haven't even looked, but that's awesome. But yeah, no, I did not ever have a book in my horizon, so to speak. Like, I wasn't thinking about it. But honestly, as I was telling you earlier, I went to all of these people to validate the fact that I'm supposed to share this part of me that I was kind of keeping secret for a while. I also heard multiple times that I should be writing a book. I mean, I had one person who was like, you should be on your 4th book by now. Like, you need to be putting yourself out there more. People need to hear what you have to say. And, I come from this like huge imposter syndrome where I'm like, who am I to write a book? Like, who wants to hear me talk? Right. And I think a lot of the listeners here might relate to that, right? Because especially as an entrepreneur, you really don't know what you're doing until you figure out how to do it. Right.
Right.
So I was, but it kept coming up. And so, again, I started to make a shift in my own life of honoring what intuitive hits I was getting. And so one of them, that was the book, and it kept coming up. So as I started to take it more seriously, I was like, what am I even going to write about? And the answer came to me was like, the mindset, because that's what you're obsessed about. And that's what you read and heard and wanted to study and, all your life. So that's kind of where I knew that it had to be about the mindset. And, my business is called Fit Warrior Life. So the word warrior has always meant something to me. And I talk about this concept of this inner evil witch who's inside our itty bitty shitty committee in here telling us we're not good enough. And then the inner warrior who's whispering, like, come on, you got this. Let's go. Let's try. So, if I was going to talk about the witch and the warrior, I had to honor my own warrior and show up, even though I was terrified. And, I got a lot of guidance in how to put this book out.
Absolutely.
Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love that. I love that. So when you made this transition, you in essence had, I'm going to call it many businesses, right, to lead you to the one that you have now.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really interesting path, right? Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs, it's not a straight line, right? We don't just decide that we're going to go down this path and continue down this path. I think you experienced a lot of things that probably all have come together to prepare you for the business that you have now. So if you were to look at your business, what would you say was the hardest part about starting your business, or the hardest part about having your business?
I think one of the things is that it's a very solitary journey, because you are putting yourself out there. And for me, I didn't have role models in my family who were running businesses. So I didn't have someone I could look up to and be like, hey, show me everything you did. My dad was, he had a job and he, retired from that job and never really did anything in terms of a business. Even in my extended family, nobody. So I was kind of the first one to do that. So I had to seek out support, because otherwise I would be just not sure and second guessing myself every step of the way. And I think that's one of the best things that I did for myself, is to join networking groups or women's empowerment groups that would support me in my journey and not make me feel like I was, alone in this whole journey, because it's a lot.
Yeah, mentorship is a really interesting topic. I mean, that's really in essence sort of like where the inspiration for this podcast even came from, which is I talk about this a lot, which is, it's like men are born thinking they can be president, right?
Yeah.
And women are born thinking they can be mothers, thinking they could be teachers, like basically thinking they can work for someone else. And I think it's a really interesting mindset of like how women have overcome that to even start their own business when they haven't had the support. It's these young people and the next generation, they're so lucky, they don't even realize how lucky they are with the amount of experience and exposure they can have to other people. So, looking at the flip side of what are the struggles, right? What's the best thing that you have found in having your own business?
The best thing about having my own business, I think it's the freedom to be as creative as I want to be. I'm not dependent on someone else's approval to run my ideas from 0 to 100. And I think that would be because I am a very creative person. Like if you tell me, how you could do something differently in your business, I'll give you 10 ideas. Will I do that for myself? I don't know, but I should. But we're creative beings. Most entrepreneurs are creative beings. And so we need that freedom to express our creativity. So I think that's one of the things that I would say has been amazing to be able to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so when we're, looking at having our business, there are also sort of these weird little things that come up, right? That are sort of like the surprises in having our business. So, and maybe it's in the current business that you have, maybe it was in one of the businesses you had prior to this. What's something that really just surprised you that you weren't expecting about having your own business and being an entrepreneur?
I think COVID was a big one, right? That was a big one that shook all of us. And in a weird way, it kind of challenged me the most, but it also showed me my own kind of power in the best way possible, right? Because had I not been forced to go out on my own and figure things out, I would have still been working for some gym that would have been taking most of my money, So it all worked out for the best in the end. But again, I had a lot of support, right, going through that journey. So it helped. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. And And so when you look at I know that when you filled out your information, you're truly a solopreneur. You don't have any team members that support you at this point in time, but you certainly have a network of people you've worked with throughout your time of having your business. And I know you said you self-funded. Now, in the business that you're doing now versus the photography business, I mean, there certainly were, sort of expenditures that you needed to have, right? It's not free to start a business. I think a lot of people think it's free to start a business, but it's really not. So when you were looking at self-funding, was that something that you set aside a budget for? Was it something that you picked up extra jobs, or you continued working your job to gain that money? How exactly did you go about self-funding?
So I think for me, it was about starting to make money somehow first. Obviously there was an initial investment, like when I was getting all my coaching certifications, I had to invest in that. So, I had the money to invest in that from my savings, which was good. But apart from that, I think, what I tell people now is really you need 3 testimonials to begin. And so even if you offer your services for free to the first 3 clients and they give you some rock solid testimonials, you can use that to then build your business slowly but surely. And that's kind of the formula that I've used for most of my businesses, because it just, really people will not purchase from you after you funded a whole bunch of marketing and branding and all of that. Like, I didn't have my website for the first 5 years of my business. But I didn't need it because I was focused on where the clients were coming from. And they were coming from hearing other people's testimonials, right? And so social media was a big one where I would share all my stories, all my clients' wins. And that was a big way to attract people. So as far as funding goes, initially I used a little bit of my savings, but then it was mostly the business kind of fed itself over and over.
Yeah, that's really, a couple things that you said I think are super smart, and I want to just reinforce them for our listeners. The first thing is the 3 testimonials. And, even if you do work for free, you need to get paid in something, right? Whether if it's not money, it's got to be in something else. So I think testimonials are really great currency and piece to bring up there. And I think the other thing is just, you referenced getting certifications and sort of having value there. I think it's also making sure that you recognize whatever the industry is that you're working in and look at where you're going to get, in a way, it's third-party endorsements, right? Is what certifications do. They prove that somebody else says that you can do the thing that you can. So in a way, that's also, I don't want to say a testimonial, but it's another sort of confirmation, validation that you can do it.
Right? It's credibility.
Exactly. I love that. If you were to look at, acting as a mentor, let's say to a future female entrepreneur, what would be the, outside of the 3 testimonials, outside of, making sure you get the certifications that you need, what's another bit of advice that you would give to a female entrepreneur?
Okay, I'm going to take this deep because I think that this is where a lot of entrepreneurs are struggling today. They've started businesses, and they're not completely aligned with what they're doing. And so they are struggling to then find the clients, or their energy is so scattered in shiny object syndrome, SOS, I call it. And they're like, maybe I should add a little bit of this to my business, and maybe I should try this, and maybe I should do this. And oh, this sounds like a really good idea. And I want to have like multiple things going before I've even figured out if this is something I want to do for the rest of my life, right? And I'm not saying that you'll figure it out day one. I mean, look at me. It took me, how many years to get here, and at multiple businesses, right? But there was an underlying theme in all of my businesses that was empowerment. I am passionate about empowering others. I want to see everybody win. That's like, I could, put that on my grave. Like, this is, if I lived a good life, that's what I did. I'm happy with that, So I think that even paying attention to the underlying theme of why you're doing what you're doing. And there's some really great books that I read for this. There's a book called The Red Thread, and it talks about, your common red thread in all of the things that you do in order to help you figure out what your true passion is. And, alignment doesn't come easy. It comes with decluttering the mind, taking all of those cobwebs out that the world and society have put on us, to tell us that, oh, making money is what a successful business looks like, or making money is what success looks like. But it isn't, because people with a lot of money aren't all excited and happy with their lives every day. Because if that was the truth, then they would all be like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. But I think you and I both know a lot of people with money who are miserable. So take the time to really find that true alignment, so that you then don't have to chase. You then start to attract leads and clients and testimonials. Like, I had a free reading with somebody for 15 minutes, and she gave me the most beautiful video testimonial. I didn't even ask for it. I just sent her my feedback form as part of the automated loop. And she was like, oh, I saw that you asked for a video in there. I'm going to take my time to send you a video. So you never know where amazing things can come from, including money and popularity and all of that good stuff, right? And impact. So I think most women want to make an impact in their business, right? Money, we want to make a lot of money, but we also want to make impact. So impact comes from being aligned. And then everything else just falls into place. I always say, when you're authentic, when you're true to yourself, the world shifts around you.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's interesting you bring up the red thread. I talk about the red thread a lot, right? Which is like this common idea. I think the other thing that you brought up that I really resonate with is the idea of finding your passion, like the thing you love. And I think that's true from so many reasons why it's important. If you're going to start a business, you should love it. Unless you're a serial entrepreneur and all you're doing is trying to satisfy the your one little thing that your ideas, your flitting ideas. And I think when you also think about the passion of having your own business, the other thing is that retirement becomes moot at that point. Because if you're doing the thing that you love, you don't have to have this arbitrary date that's been given, out of the blue. You don't have this arbitrary date that defines sort of when you are going to end your business, right? You can keep doing it forever and love it.
Yeah.
So I want to just talk about a few things. So you love riding bikes and going to the beach. So you actually find time to do things that you love. And tell us more about that. Are you going to the beach in New Jersey, or is this like you're traveling to go to the beach?
Well, we take a lot of beach vacations. We're a beach loving family, but in New Jersey too, like we go down the beach, we rent some bikes, and we like to go along the boardwalk. And it's a win-win X3 that I talk about, the win-win-win decision, because it's fun for me, it's fun for the whole family, it's bonding time, it's getting out in nature, it's movement, all of those things come together. So it's one of those favorite things that I love to do.
I love it so much.
Yeah.
And as we, get close to wrapping things up, I want to make sure that we sort of talk about your program, right? Your framework, the Peel, Feel, and Heal framework. So tell us a little bit about what that is and how does that work?
Yeah. So, as I wrote the book on mindset, I started to do a lot of workshops and talking about, how do we clear the mindset, right? And everybody knows having a good mindset is important. Like that's common knowledge, right? We know this. But, when I started to write the book, one of the things I realized is that there are not a lot of books that talk about how to make that shift in the mindset. So I break it down into 7 mindsets. And they're almost like mantras, where it's like you're a believer, not doubter, victor, not victim, secure, not insecure, fearless, not fearful, abundance, not scarcity, and blessed, not stressed. So each of those has, like in the book, each of these mindsets is a chapter, and we go into different ways that we can get there, make that shift with examples and stories. And then as I started to do workshops, one of the things that kept coming to me was that really it all comes down to getting to know yourself, right? What does mindset work do for us? It allows us to peel the layers of the conditioning that the world has put on us, because literally we are responding to the conditioning that has been put on us all our lives. I think a good 80 to 90% of the things we do in our day-to-day is because of the fear of judgment of other people, or this expectation that society has put on us. So if we peel those layers, we will start to see, what it is that we really want, right? So for example, for me, like, being a people pleaser was one of them. I just could not break free of that. But what was happening as a result of being a people pleaser is that I was developing resentment towards the people who I felt were taking advantage of me. And so as I started to peel those layers of why are people taking advantage of me all the time? Why am I feeling resentful all the time? And I don't like this feeling because that's not me in my essence. And so I started to feel these uncomfortable feelings of like, oh, maybe it's because you don't know how to set boundaries. Maybe it's because you're enabling their behavior, right? And so feeling those uncomfortable feelings and sitting with them, and then healing from that and realizing that, hey, I wasn't born this way, so I can change it, right? I can heal from this. Whatever the conditioning that made me a people pleaser can be something that I can undo and I can heal from it. And so as you peel, feel, and heal different emotions, different conditioning, you really find your true essence of who you are underneath all of those layers. And that's where your true power is. That's where your uniqueness is. And to me, that was really where I started to see the difference in my own behavior. And I started to attract better people and better opportunities automatically. It was almost like my energy shifted higher because I let go of all this baggage and I was lighter. And as I got lighter and my energy elevated, I became more authentic. And there's actually a study that's been done that, on different emotions and the frequency that they emit. And authenticity ranks higher, 4,000 times higher than love.
Wow.
So authenticity is the highest frequency. It's called the Spain Study of Emotions or something like that, SPANE. And they talk about how authenticity is the highest vibration. And if you study the law of attraction, deeply, you will understand that you have to raise your frequency to match what you want to attract. But how many of us are doing that, And to me, the best way to do it is to do the inner work that takes time and sometimes is not comfortable, but it gets you to that authenticity in the fastest way possible and keeps you there, as opposed to the quick fixes and gimmicks out there.
Yeah, I love that so much. There's the whole idea of even peeling back to, see the things that are holding you back. It's so smart, so smart. So as I have two last questions for you. One is, how do people get a hold of you? How do they find you?
Yeah, my website is the easiest way, fitwarriorlife.com.
Okay, excellent. And then the second question, which I ask all of my guests, is what is one word or a short phrase that you would use as inspiration for a future female entrepreneur?
One word. Ooh, I'm getting a few, but I'll go with authenticity.
I love it. I love it. I think that's really, really important. Well, thank you so much, Chitra, for your time today and for being my guest here on the SparkStarter podcast. And to all of our listeners who have joined us today, it's been a pleasure bringing you the uniquely inspiring stories that ignite female entrepreneurs into action. I've been your host, Elizabeth Goede, and on behalf of all of the awe-inspiring women entrepreneurs out there, I encourage you to not only dream big, but ignite those dreams into action. Remember, every spark can lead to an extraordinary fire. So keep the spark alive for today, tomorrow, and the vibrant future beyond. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast to never miss a spark. Until next time, stay ignited.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I see that we have a couple of people who have tuned in live, and I just want to make sure before we let Chitra go today, if anyone has any specific questions that have come out of her interview today. It was certainly very inspirational, and I loved hearing all of your story as to sort of all the trials that you had leading up to where you are now, which is super exciting. And if no one has any questions, then we can end the live stream for today.
If I can, I'd just love to offer everybody a complimentary 15-minute reading with me. It's an intuitive reading where we go into your energy and see what messages you need to get, and I can send you that link.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, if you send me the link, I will make sure to drop it in the bottom of the interview from today. So thank you everyone for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.